Hello, beautiful friends. All right, so we are live here today. I'm doing something a little different. The last few times I've gone live, I've done live readings. But today I just kind of want to dive in and make it a conversation. So I'd like to hear what comes up for you in this conversation. If you've been experiencing anything, my hair is like absolutely bonkers right now. Uh, And yeah, and I'm gonna dive deep into some of the questions that I've been looking at. And this has come, so I've had a dream now a couple times in a row where I'm being ignored. And this matches a physical behavior. And I don't really understand it. As the divine feminine, I'm looking into ways as to how I can alchemize this because I'm not liking the way it's sitting in my body. I'm not liking the way that I feel when I wake up from these dreams. I don't liking the way that I interact with it in the physical world. Actually, I'm proud of the way I interacted with it in the physical world because I just acknowledged it and was like, okay, this is a weird behavior, and I'm not resonating with it. What can be done different? So we're gonna jump in and my name is Haley Jones. I'm a clown buoyant. For those of you who don't know me, I have this channel here called Prism Healers, which has the intention of expanding later on to include other healers. But for right now, it's just me and my unseen friends. What we're going to dive deep in with first is this idea of being ignored. All right. And this is a clear reading, which means it's a clearing and a healing in one. I don't really need my glasses. Actually, no, they help to have glasses on. Oh, yes, I can see better with them. Turns out glasses are helpful. Surprise. Okay, so this is a reading, which means it's a clearing and a reading all in one. And it's the intention that in the clearing, we are with just the insight of understanding why it's happening and bringing some intentional energy movement around it, we're able to create a healing. So, this is something I like to do. I've posted many videos with it before. I haven't done it in a while, but it felt really nice to dive deep in. So, I've already pre drawn the cards. I haven't looked too deep into them yet. So I just want to take a moment and set the intention that everybody watching this video, that we are connected with the highest light beings available, and that everybody receives from this video what they need, including myself. Okay, so to ignored and to be ignored, it's awful. It's so uncomfortable. So I'd like you all to just take a moment and feel what it feels like to be ignored. What are the feelings that come up? Where do they come from? What happened to you in a time that you were ignored? Is that a recent thing? Is that a thing from the past? And just take a minute to really be with the discomfort of being ignored. I am here. I am here. I am here. Why can't you see me? Why won't you look at me? Why have I not been seen? Why am I not being loved? And these are all questions that come up in the process of being ignored, which again is extremely uncomfortable. So, for those of you, so we're just starting with the being ignored and what that feels like, because that's what the template that's been coming up in my dreams. All right. So, the insight we first get is listen to the music of your soul. And what I see with this card is it's really funny because I've been hearing bagpipes in the wind since I got back from Scotland. And I don't think anybody is actually playing bagpipes in the mountains of California, although it would be really cool if they were. And so I feel like a part of my soul has been unlocked, and it is bagpipes. But in that, it's like, what goes deeper? Like, what is the memory that comes with bagpipes? Is it apart from this life? Is it reminiscent of the past? You know, when we wake up and there's songs in our hearts or songs stuck in our heads, those mean something. Those bring forth messages most of the time. And for me, bagpipes bring up this this mystic memory of a time of, really living with the land, being free of technology, of interference, and really being connected to my own witchy wisdom. That's what bagpipes remember. They also remind me of being in community and all of that. So I share this insight with you because I want you to tap into what the music is of your own soul and what you're hearing, and what does that mean for you? Okay. So that's the first lesson about being ignored. Uh, Hi, friend. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you again. We're doing a reading today on ig- being ignored and ignoring, but just for the collective. So if this theme has come up for you, feel free to share that and we can do some transmutation. But I think I'm going to get through the bulk of these cards here. And it's always nice to know what's resonating. So, our medicine being with the music of our souls. Okay. Now, the next thing that comes forward, and this is for the higher perspective of those being ignored, and this is going to be really interesting soon, because it's the keeper of the subconscious. Now, it's funny because I usually draw these cards as the subconscious, but this is the tree oracle coming down. So we've been seeing in a lot of these readings going on is that there's a lot of the higher truth and the lower truth kind of merging as one, and they're intercepting each other like this. So as we dive deep into the subconscious and we really get to the core of this theme of being ignored and why are we being ignored, why is that triggering what it is. Now these are questions that probably any therapist would ask you, but we're not as simple as just our human experience. We go so much deeper in that, so we have to dive into the subconscious of not just this lifetime and others. And I think that's kind of where my bagpipe message was coming in, is like this theme of being ignored, and it might be coming up for the collective feminine of so long we've been suppressed and pushed down, and it's this like fiery insight is starting to emerge because we are here to share our voices, to share our stories, to share our dreams, our visions, to share our insights, and to be really connected and tapped in with this. So I guess the invitation too around being uh, being ignored would be like, how do we tap into like the fiery thing? Now the third energy that comes up, in a connection where someone's being ignored, is allowing anger. And so there's been this theme of like this sacred fire kind of emerging and coming forward in this. So as far as asking your question, I'm going to get through these different categories, because it's the thought I came in with. And then if this theme applies to you, we can go deeper. But we're going from the collective perspective today. So I'm not taking like personal questions, like going into like a personal thing. But our stories are powerful. So somehow, if that ties in, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, um, so we're going to jump over into this idea of the subconscious and the conscious of the one who is ignoring. Now, I'd like you all to take a moment and think of times in your life that you have ignored something, and when that's an unconscious choice and when that's a conscious choice. I keep having this moment of like thinking of kids being like, I'm ignoring you. I'm ignoring you. But the thing is like we're not ever really ignoring people in that state. We're still actively acknowledging them in that. And I guess that's kind of the energy of like being ignored. It's like it's such a deliberate choice of avoidance, which have been themes that have been coming up. So think about the times that you have been actively ignoring something. Now, sometimes this is a healthy boundary, and sometimes this is a path of avoidance. So, in relation to counterpart dynamics and this sort of thing, what we got for the one ignoring is beware of the happy toxins. Now, there comes a part where I think people want to ignore and it feels good. Like you're in a power position to be ignoring, right? to make the active choice to not participate in a thing. So here we have the beware the happy toxin. So this is such a good thing to be mindful of when is this actually serving you and when is it not? When is that like joyful, beautiful red berry poison and when is it a delicious cranberry? So I feel like that's a really a beautiful thing. Now, what's interesting is what comes forward with this is the keeper of sleep. Okay. Now, for the side being ignored, we had the keeper of the subconscious. Okay. So, and the whole reason I brought this message forward is because I keep having a reoccurring dream around being ignored. And, this like this push pull that goes on that's quite uncomfortable. So, as we look into the keeper of sleep, it almost for me, the message that comes up is almost like we're working things through in this dream state. For me, the repetitiveness of this dream is working through it. It's bringing it into the light. It brought me to this call today so that I could have a really direct share and exploration with you all on why this is coming forward. Okay, so in the higher energies, this thing continues to come forward of allowing the anger. Now, in my particular situation and in my dreams, it's this person is ignoring me, but they're in my dreams. There's no reason for him to be there, to just ignore me, but he's there, and so it's this like constant push pull, and it's honestly it's very infuriating. Now, what I like about this card is it's an invitation of fire. And for June, we've been getting this message of like the fiery feminine, the fiery connection, and it makes sense. We're about to move into the summer solstice and we're moving into the season of fire, right? This is a time where we can transmute because the days are longer, the sun is burning, and we've been moving into this place of really allowing this explosion of like, I will not be ignored. I am here. I am loud. I am proud, and I am worth being seen. And I see you too, and you are worth being seen. And that is such a powerful place to be in our connections. I've really been exploring this balance between like of the longing, but the fire that comes up with the longing, the passion, the desire. So as these things start to move, and these words are activations, they start to transform us really powerfully as we embrace it, as we embrace them. So it's the longing. It's also the gratitude of the stuff that like to be in these connections is innately powerful because we're able to have the reflections, right? So even in this, it's like what's the difference of the keeper of the subconscious and the keeper of sleep? It's like they're rest and restorative, but it's understanding the purpose of what it is that these things bring forward. Okay, so the higher energy wants us to know that, the purpose of this transmutation is the keeper of self love. All right, so for the one being ignored, coming back to that softness, coming back to that gentle place of, I am worthy, I am worthy, and I am happy, and I am well, and I am peaceful. It's like coming back to those loving affirmations of that Buddhist prayer, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be free from harm. It's such a beautiful thing as we share it with another, but may I be happy, may I be well, may I be free from harm. And you can take a moment and say those things to yourself. May I be happy, may I be well, may I be free from harm. Really powerful things. Okay, so for the other side, we get this really interesting dynamic that is the keeper of the game. Okay, so if the one ignoring is the keeper of the game, we also must trust that while their actions might not be totally conscious, so if we have the keeper of the subconscious, this would be the one who's aware of what's going on because they're doing that work. Okay, but if we have the one who's sleeping, they might subconsciously not understand why they're engaging the behaviors. Now, it's not our job to hold all of that for them, but we can come to this place of understanding that them being the keeper of the game and like keeping this is part of that aspect of divine timing. It's a part of this piece of making sure that everything arrives exactly when it should. All right. And it's a being a player of the game, the strategy that comes up in the game, the things that get brought into our attention to transmute those is a part of the dynamic, it's a part of the dance, it's a part of the game in the sense of it must be transmuted as we move forward, just individually and collectively and within our unions. Okay, so those are all key points that are really important. Now I'm going to go into a piece of how we work with this energy in the physical and how it shows up. And I actually haven't looked at these cards at all, so I'm very excited. Okay, so for the one being ignored, the way that this shows up internally, the Forest Lord. Okay, so this is the same as the Emperor, and what I see in this card is it's kind of a balance of our like civilized self and our wild self. All right, so and the Emperor in the Light Seers deck is a guy playing chess, right? So coming into this awareness of like, oh, I can play the game as well. I can learn how to dance with this in a way that doesn't drive me crazy. Now, I asked where this was where this lesson is trying to take us, from those who are being ignored. Where does the lesson take us? It's like, okay, well, subconsciously, you're learning to step into a greater place of awareness, a greater place of of walking forward with that like emperor like strength where you're respecting the environment, you're allowing the environment to teach you so that you can learn. Now where this is headed, it's funny, it's the hangman, but what I really get from this card more than the hanged man is just this idea of vision. It brings us back to our true wild selves, so that we're not needing the affirmations from the public to know, or from the other for the beloved to know that we are worthy of the truest, most beautiful reflection. So that's really powerful. Now, how do we get there as the one being ignored? We get the 10 of Wands. So for me, this 10 of Wands is kind of like packing up the old, it's leaving the old behaviors behind and packing forward with the essentials that you need. It's moving in deeper to the discomfort, is actually what I hear very strongly. Because the way that we address the feelings that come up when things aren't unfolding in a way that feels harmonious and beautiful, or the way that we painted it perfectly in our head, is going deep into that discomfort and saying, all right, what is it here for me to work with? And I love that, we've got horns here, and we've got tusks here, so we've got some really tough animals like breaking through. And I'm still hearing there's like a sense of this, um it's like the aggressive, energy, not more assertive is the word I guess I'm going for, is really like learning to assert the self, which is what I did when I was perpetually being ignored in the physical. I spoke forward. I was just like, "Hey, this," I didn't call out the behavior, specifically because I felt that would be destructive, but I did acknowledge the shift and what had gone on in the sense of and what feeling that evoked from me, and missing my friend that had been available for conversation and deepening connection, and to have that behavior flipped is pretty thing. So on the other side of it, we work with the being ignored, and I hadn't looked at this. Okay, so, what we have here, or the one who's ignoring, we have the 9 of challenges, okay? So, the one who is ignoring, we're getting the affirmation here for them that, or for us when we've been doing that, is that we're hiding from our fears. We're not deepening into the vulnerability that's being asked of us. We're not kind of, we're running from that which ultimately will bring us joy and light. Now, the card that comes out with it is also Major Arcana, and is the High Priestess, the Seeker. Okay, so I really like these together. It's the Vision and the Seeker. Okay, so if the one who's being ignored might be holding this, this light, might be holding this thing that these fears are causing them to run from, but ultimately, like the beauty of the High Priestess is like unlocking those subconscious fears and kind of diving deep into that world that stirs us up and calls us to our calls us to make the subconscious conscious. So and there's a reflection in this card going on as well. You can see that she's not looking in the mirror, she's looking away, but here, we were reflecting in the pool. So that feels really powerful. Now, how do we get there? We get the Six of Swords. Okay, so the Six of Swords, very interesting. This was packing up and walking away. This is also a walking away. So I'm getting an indication that it's like as we bring the discomfort that of our feelings to this work, as we acknowledge them as appropriate, the more that this starts to shift because we're facing the thing and we're moving away from the thing that no longer serves us. And I think that there's an indication sometimes that that's what like boundaries look like. It's just like, I'm not participating in that behavior. But actually, what we're doing is we're acknowledging the behavior and we're acknowledging its impact on us. And then we give the other person a choice to make a different decision if they're doing something hurtful. We also are making a choice of, am I going to move away from this behavior? And some of it's moving away from each other. Sometimes it's moving away from a thing. It just kind of all depends. Okay, so now we're getting into what the third energy wants to teach us from this and where it's headed. So internally, what this feels like is, oh, my least favorite card, but such a teacher. This card, the Seven of Challenges or Seven of Swords. Okay, so what this indicates to me is things aren't as they seem. Okay, so as I explained earlier, when I have the dream, I I can feel the behavior in the dream that's triggering the feelings, but I know that's not the truth of what's going on. So I'm receiving this juxtaposition energy where the person is saying one thing and then doing another thing. So a clear example is one of the dreams I had. It's like, I don't just sit around thinking about what I'm going to text you all night. And then in the dream, the person was right there texting me. And I was like, then why are you texting me in the middle of the night? But it was like, they're saying the thing, or like the ignoring, where it's like they're always watching me out of the corner of their eye. So in this, things are not as they seem. And I think that that's this real, like, interesting dynamic that we're experiencing with this push pull. It's like sometimes the ignoring as a sense of avoidance, or trying, to what's the word I'm looking for? Like suppress the fears, or like mitigate the fears. Is the way of that's trying, but the fears are coming up. They can't be held. This is moving. They're coming up in way bigger ways, I think, than we could even imagine for those who are doing the ignoring. Okay, so three cards came out as this final piece, is to what the how the third energy wants this to move. Like, obviously, we want to not be in the Seven of Challenges energy. That's not a place to be. Where people are lying to themselves, if they're lying to each other, things aren't them. We really want people to step into the light and say, "Hey, this is what's going on for me, and this is where I'm struggling. This is what's hard." We want to provide that space, but I think in order to do that, we do have to transmute the fire and of the anger of what's been coming up around that. Okay, so what we have is the Four of Stones. So this would be the Four of Pentacles. And the message I'm getting from this is just like, it's that self work, it's that self awareness, that comes into this placement of really being present with each other. Okay. And the Ten of Pipes comes next. And what I like about this card is it's showing two people working together. And I like this process of deliberate journaling, of really being attention, whether you're being ignored or ignoring. It's really bringing insight into your own awareness around what's going on. It's doing parts work, it's sharing with others what's been moving. So that feels really important. And it's a learning process. Like, the more we step into that for ourselves, the more that others benefit from our ability to be present with what's showing up. Okay. Lastly, where this is going, and I am definitely reading this as a story, which I'll get to in a second. But then we have the Apprentice of Stones. Okay, so The apprentice is the Knight of Pentacles. So to me, this really shows that this like grounded energy is coming forward through this process. It's identifying what's going on and really getting to the core of self mastery. It's then starting to do the work together. And then it's stepping forward with these gifts as offerings of really understanding what that transmutation is that becomes the harvest for everyone. And how we get to this trajectory, this story, from the Seven of Swords energy is beautiful. It's the Three of Pentacles. So with this Three of Pentacles energy, we really see something that where we are working together and that sort of thing. So, well, that gave me some interesting insight, and I hope that it was informative for all of you. If you have ways that this theme has been manifesting for you, or you can really hone in on a specific thread that I can draw cards on, welcome. If it's on point, I'm not going to answer it today because I'm not going general. We are in a specific world. I'm going to sit with this a little bit more. I also wanted to look, there was a line in one of these books that I really love to share. Um, uh, do, 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 do. Mm. So, from the Keeper of Self Love, we have consider this: you are the only you in the entire universe. You deserve to experience love from the inside out, independent of what the world offers or takes away. So that reclaiming of self love feels really good. There were some threads that I just wanted to bring forward. Um, Thank you for helping me learn these books. You just can't do it alone. Yeah, that keeper of the subconscious, the invitation with that card is, what happened to me instead of what's wrong with me. It's really kind of it's going into this light through the darkness. Ooh, and I'm just seeing this. Um, so with the one being ignored, this is their inner world, right? So this looks like the inside of this tree. It's the nook, and it's like as we meet each other in the light, our fears are never so big that we can't be with them, especially if we share them. I know how great it's felt every time that I've shared a thing. All right, poking through a little bit more. All right, we did good of listening to the music of your soul. Beware the happy toxins. Too good to be true. That sometimes you need to devour all the tasty goodness, moving beyond fear and to doubt to risk greatness. Other times you would be better off to say no and to cleave your commitments. So those are really great. Last piece from this book. So allow the anger. What change can you invite? What injustice can you transform into justice through giving anger its voice? Allow sacred fire to have its space. Feed what is no longer vital into the sacred fire so it can be reborn into a new life. That's really powerful. Mm-mm-mm. Really good things. Um, yeah. Mhm. Sorry, I'm just there was one something that hit me earlier, but now I'm not seeing it. Um, yeah, I think too it's this idea, the keeper of the game, coming back to that is this phrase has come up a lot in these books of cards, but it's, perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting us to see us act only just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us in its deepest essence is something helpless that wants our love. So yeah, I really offer that piece again. I've been really thinking on that phrase of just like, yeah, these dragon energies sometimes are meant to transform us. They're meant to help transmute. And if we're coming forward with a dragon, we have to be mindful of how we're fire blazing a person. Um, Whether that's sacred fire or where that's just creating more chaos. So Yeah. Anyway, I feel like that covers a lot of what's going on. I hope there was some useful little nuggets of insight for everybody tuning in today. I'm definitely seeing kind of the cross themes, to ignore, to be ignored. At the end of the day, we are just transmuting these kind of polarities so that we see why each side happens. And then we make a choice that's, you know, more embodied and really coming forward to just step forward in our light. So, thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have something specific you'd like to ask in regards to this reading, you're welcome. Otherwise, I'm going to give it about 20 more seconds and I'm going to sign off. We ask that all the beings of love, light, who supported this call and brought through insight today, that they keep working with us individually. Let's clear any collective connections any of us had so we may be in our own sovereign energies today as we move forward. And with that, I wish you all many blessings. Aho.